All right, welcome back. Draft is 10 days away, and in a few days, the great Sal Paolantonio and Greg Cosell will return for their 2024 NFL Draft special edition of NFL Matchup, where they will analyze all the prospects in the context of the NFL game, including how the top quarterback prospects, such as the Heisman Trophy winner, Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams, along with the standout Drake May, will adjust to the NFL's tempo. Special will air Thursday at 7 o'clock on ESPN2, and then you can stream it on ESPN Plus following its premiere as we welcome in ESPN's Sal Paolantonio. Sal, how are you? Thanks for coming on today.
Bram, my old friend, how you doing, boss?
I'm doing good. All right, let's just get to where we are. Assuming Caleb Williams is 1, who do you think Washington takes at 2?
Well, they better take Jaden Daniels because in my view, after studying these quarterbacks, here's the ranking in my view. Caleb Williams is 1. 1A is Jaden Daniels. And number 2 is J.J. McCarthy. That's the top 3 that I have at quarterback. I love Jaden Daniels for a lot of reasons. You look at him on tape, he has the traits for a dual-threat quarterback ability. He's very quick to understand where the rush is coming from pretty much all of the time, Bram. I mean, he has a real sharp sense of the pocket already, and that will develop with Cliff Kingsbury this summer quite a bit. His ability to move and throw accurately on the run is very good and will develop. His body is developing. He's gaining weight and gaining muscle. He's tough and resilient, but he's also extremely coachable. A very nice young man, very nice. Not too nice. You want a quarterback who's going to be tough, but he is going to be very coachable. You're going to see him walk in the building and be a great teammate and a great member of the sporting community in Washington, D.C. immediately. He's going to light the place up. He's just got an infectious personality. If I were a GM, I would take Jaden Daniels. I really would. He would be a great face of the franchise. He's exactly, in my view, what Dan Quinn and the new ownership of that team needs right now.
Would you take him over Caleb Williams?
Well, that's a difficult decision. And I'm glad you asked that question. If I were starting a team, Bram, I would start it with Jaden Daniels.
Huh. Why over Caleb?
I just like his overall makeup. I'm not saying anything wrong or bad about Caleb Williams. I just think his overall makeup is just perfectly suited for that situation with those coaches. I really think he has great pocket awareness. I think his dual threat ability is probably a little bit better than Caleb Williams. He will leave the pocket. He will move out in the pocket. Then he will leave the pocket, and he's got game-breaking speed. He's the fastest of the top 5 quarterbacks by quite a bit. He showed that in college, and his 40 time shows that. I wouldn't compare him to Lamar Jackson. I think Lamar Jackson has a different kind of, gear for sure.
Yeah.
I think Lamar Jackson is super special kind of gear in terms of being able to break away and run. But right now, I think Jaden Daniels will develop. I can say quite easily that Jaden Daniels will develop into as good a passer, if not better, than Lamar Jackson earlier.
There are a couple things that I'll run these by you and see what you think about when I've watched, because obviously I've watched a lot of Jaden Daniels and a lot of Drake May in anticipation of the Commanders selecting one of them in the draft next week. And there are two things that really stand out about Daniels. And I think the most important thing to me is his improvement from his play at Arizona State to LSU. And most importantly, going from the Pac-12 to the SEC and not the other way around, and the improvement of competition that he played and his personal improvement amid the heightened competition, it's striking. And it screams to me that there is a very high ceiling for this player. Do you agree with that?
Totally, 100%. So let's take it in the three parts that you mentioned. One, you're going into the SEC from Arizona. So right then and there, that's a major step up in class, probably 2 steps up or 3 steps up in class. You got better. You got bigger and stronger and better. You showed toughness and resilience in a conference where you're going to get hit, and he did, and he played through it and was an extremely good leader on the field and off. And he did get bigger. There's no question about that. And he didn't lose speed. So I like all of those things on all of those fronts. Listen, I think that Drake May is going to be a fantastic, there's some people who don't. I think he's going to be a fantastic professional quarterback. He's got height. He's got arm strength. He's got the great makeup. He's going to be terrific. But I take Daniels because right now in the NFL, you have to make plays off script.
Yes.
You have to make plays as a dual threat quarterback. The NFL last year started 68 different quarterbacks, Bram. That was a record. 2 years ago. 2 years ago, it was 68. Last year, it was 66. In the last 2 years, the most quarterbacks ever in the National Football League started a game in the history of the league. You've never had this kind of level of volatility and upheaval and uncertainty at the most important position on the field, maybe the most important position in sports. So you have to have a quarter, and why is that? Well, injury is number one. So you have to have a quarterback who can get out of the way of the rush and avoid injury. Very, very important. Injuries, number one. Number two, turnover for offensive coordinators. 3, lack of development. Development. So it has to be up to the quarterback and the team around him. What I mean by team around him, his agent, his personal trainer, his family. All of those people must help him in his development because in my view, in the view of many people, the NFL is not doing enough. This is why Tom Brady, honestly, I hate to use the comparison, but Brady was so successful, Bram, because he had TB12. He had Alex Guerrero. He had a system that helped him stay on the field no matter what, come back year after year. You don't have that with a lot of quarterbacks. Again, 2022, 68 different quarterbacks started a game in the National Football League. 2023, 66. So this level of uncertainty and volatility at the position means that you need a quarterback who's going to withstand the pressures of the game, both physically and mentally, and be able to stay on the field. And that's why I like Jaden Daniels. And I think Caleb Williams falls into that category as well. I do. But I think Daniels' ability to run outside the pocket, leave the pocket, and get out of the way of the rush, his quickness, his natural feel for the pocket, I think makes him perfect for Cliff Kingsbury, 100%. And he's tall. He's much taller than Kyler Murray, who Kingsbury had in Arizona. So he's got a lot of really great physical and mental attributes.
Okay, earlier you said you would take McCarthy over Drake May. Why is that?
I just like McCarthy. You know, I like the makeup of him. I like that he's younger, so you don't absolutely have to put him on the field right away. You can develop him, and you can have him for a longer period of time. The guy won a college championship. That's a pretty big deal in my eyes. At Michigan, that's a pretty big deal.
But from the standpoint of, and I hear this a lot with May because he's got the build of Herbert, maybe the arm of Herbert. I actually think he's more athletic than Justin Herbert. He can run, and he's probably more mobile than Justin Herbert. How do you kind of overlook that portion of it versus McCarthy?
I'm not overlooking it. I mean, you can't go wrong with Drake May. But I take McCarthy, but just in my view, I think that the difference is went to Michigan, won a national championship, did it under Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh. Excuse me. I get sometimes confused sometimes in my head. And won it under Jim Harbaugh. Tough coach to do it. I think that says a lot. That really does. That's a heck of an accomplishment for a 21-year-old person.
All right, let me ask you about a couple other items before I let you go.
Sure,
left tackles.
Bram, anytime. My man, Bram, me and you are talking on the radio. It's great. I love it.
Left tackle is an issue for Washington. Charles Leno was released. They do not have a replacement for him. As you kind of look at the top part of the draft, we here believe that Washington is a candidate to try to trade back into the first round at some point to potentially get a tackle. As you've kind of looked through those prospects, what are you thinking about that position at the top of the draft?
I think it's a good idea to go back in and get a left tackle. It depends on who they like. I don't know who they like. So if they like somebody, I would go back up and get them. You have to rebuild quickly around your rookie quarterback, around your new head coach. Don't hold on to draft picks. I'm a big believer in going and getting what you want.
Okay. Giants are picking 6. What do you think they're going to do?
Daniel Jones spoke today. The head coach spoke today. The GM is speaking later in the week. All indications that I am getting from the Giants is that Daniel Jones, if healthy, will be the starter in September. Okay? That's point number one. But he has a lot to prove in order to stay on the roster in 2025 when financially they don't owe him anything, guaranteed money. So the question is not who is starting in 24, it's who's starting in 25 and beyond. So if that's an open question, Bram, then the Giants absolutely must take a quarterback. Wherever they're going to do it, they got to take a quarterback. In my view, if McCarthy's there at 6, they take him. They got to take him. Have to take him. Have to take him. He's 21. You have Drew Lock. You have Daniel Jones coming back. You take J.J. McCarthy, and now you'll have a guy on a rookie deal for 5 years, 4 years. So I would take J.J. McCarthy if he's there. If he's not, I would take a wide receiver. I wouldn't fool around. You need one. Get one of the top wide receivers that is available at 6.
Okay. How about Dallas? Do you all, as you kind of prepare for the draft, do you anticipate that they might select a quarterback somewhere along the way?
I hope so. That would be so great for our show. I mean, it would be great for the NFL draft show. It would be great for Mike Greenberg and Get Up for like 4 weeks, right? That's like 4 weeks worth of programming. That would be great.
Isn't it for the same reasons, though?
Great. It would be so great in Washington, New York, and Philadelphia. Just to watch the debate unfold. Dak, I mean, you got Trey Lance. You're going to take a quarterback. I mean, wow.
Well, but even for just the same reasons,
as a lame duck. I mean, the drama in Dallas alone would be the number one sideshow of the NFL for months. I
mean, even for the same reasons, though, Sal. Like you just said about the Giants, like you don't know who the quarterback is in 2025 for Dallas. How do they not take a quarterback?
How do they not take one? It's so great. It's great.
It would be.
The Eagles will be set with Jalen Hurts. The Commanders will be set with, I think, Jaden Daniels if they pick him. If they don't, I hope they have a good reason for not picking him. To me, you look at the division, Commanders and the Eagles are both set up at the quarterback position for the next 3, 4, 5 years.
Yeah. It appears that way.
It's fascinating. What's really interesting about the division, Bram, is all four teams have new defensive coordinators. I have been covering the NFL. This is my 33rd year. Started at the Philadelphia Inquirer. And when I started, I cannot remember a time when all four teams in the NFC East had new defensive coordinators. And it's fascinating to me. It really tells me that this offseason, for all four offensive coordinators and all four quarterbacks and all four offensive line coaches are really going to have to do a lot of studying and be ready for anything when the season comes up, because it's going to be really interesting within the division, because you have just a fresh set of eyes defensively for all four teams. It's going to be fascinating in that respect.
It is. Sal Paolantonio, Greg Cosell will return for their 2024 NFL Draft Special Edition of NFL Matchup. The duo will analyze all the draft prospects in the context of the game, including how the top quarterback prospects, such as the Heisman Trophy winners Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, alongside the standout Drake May, will adjust to the NFL's tempo. The special is going to air this Thursday, April 18th, 7 p.m. on ESPN2. It'll be streaming on ESPN Plus following the premiere. Sal, as always, thank you so much for the time, and I look forward to talking to you down the road.
Anytime, Bram. Great talking to you, man.